Welcome to Writing the Wrong Way, where we talk about how writing works, how writers work, and why the best writers risk being strange. And I have with myself, in the triumphant return to the podcast, myself, Jonathan Ball, Lyndon Radchencka, person extraordinaire, and Gregory Chomichuk, persona extraordinaire.
I've been called a lot worse.
And we are going to talk about Stranger Fiction Kickstarter and some other things. Just catch up what we've been doing. I've been silent, radio silence, and I'm coming back.
This is a special double dip episode in conjunction with Writing the Wrong Way and our producer, mediocre, Lyndon Radchencka.
I like that that's catching on.
I don't know. I feel bad every time I say it out loud.
We always
It is
need
super
to
cute.
make sure Dan knows how important he is to us and missed.
Yeah, we miss you. Dan.
Where is Dan, by the way? Because let's just get into this for a second. On Writing the Wrong Way, we've been doing a series where we talk to Dan about Meat House. And, I kind of went on a hiatus, and I noticed he also went on a hiatus, which wasn't as planned, perhaps, but I'm not sure where he's at with that script. I know he had a full draft that I saw him.
Dan is an important man with important things to do, and that is where he is.
I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just
And
curious.
There is some follow-up, Meat House follow-up, that I'm sure.
Yes,
Can't wait to share.
Dan, I'm promising everyone, you can cut it out if you don't want this promise to be made, but I'm going to promise all listeners, unless Dan cuts it out, that Dan will be back on the podcast to fill us in with Meat House and the future of Dan, the screenwriter.
And the future of
Sometime
Canadian cinema.
soon,
It's all rests on your shoulders, Dan.
unless he cut that out and you never heard it.
Jonathan, I hold in my hands Skydevil in the Haunted Air by Rick Overwater and GMB Chomichuk, and published by Stranger Fiction. Those who are looking for the complete behind-the-scenes, all transparency. Jonathan, you are also the secret mastermind, puppet master, string holder, gear turner behind Stranger Fiction.
Well, let's just talk about that as a way into talking about some of the. I would really like, and you might have your own agenda but I would really like to just kind of catch up a bit on what has been going on. And I think Skydevil is, just because I have sort of been on that hiatus, and Skydevil is a great way into it because, one, it's the most recent thing that I've been doing / has done with you in particular.
It was
Two-
a sudden book. I like to think of Skydevil as a sudden book.
Yes and no, but talk us through what Skydevil is and what it looks like, because unfortunately people can't see it right now.
Well, those of you who follow the podcast because I am a graphic novelist may be sorely disappointed. This is an illustrated novella. So those of you who like a certain amount of pulpy illustration in your books, you will be thrilled. Skydevil and the Haunted Air is a tribute to the old pulp horror magazines and the old pulp aerial action serials of the 30s, 40s, a little bit into the 50s. It is a mixture of, we've been calling it, or someone else called it to me, Porco Rosso meets Hellboy.
It's got a real Hellboy influence.
Right,
At
definitely.
least from my point of view. I don't know if Rick's a Hellboy fan.
I
It
don't know
seems
if
that
there-
way.
If there's anyone in modern comics who isn't a Hellboy fan, I would probably find myself in a position where I would see it hard to trust them.
But Skydevil is, again, a sort of air ace, as you put it, but it very much, a somewhat supernatural one, and fighting Lovecraftian horrors. So there's a whole kind of mishmash of pulp genres there.
Yeah, in and of itself, Skydevil, the character, is tangentially connected to my Midnight City graphic novel series and a number of other projects I have related to that. He is a character who, after a war in Antarctica, suffered some, shall we say, medical setbacks when exposed to the guts of a Martian tripod's oozing insides, which caused him to mutate into a person with thick skin and incredible endurance, as long as he continues to suck down these poison cigarettes that don't poison him, they make him stronger. I would not recommend anyone else smoke those pitchforks.
And one of the things I liked about the book, so with Gregory's talking about like it was a sudden book, like he already, it's not like it was a rushed book, but my participation in it was somewhat rushed because I just sort of was like, Gregory had been talking about this project for like, I don't know, a year or something.
It's literally 1 year old. We
And I
had the
was-
idea and then executed all within one
And
count.
I was like, yeah, it sounds cool, man, and then,
Defying the timeline of traditional publishing.
Yes, very much so.
but then like at one point he's like, hey, you should read this thing. And I looked at it and I read it, it's a nice short book.
Don't undersell yourself, Jonathan. If I
Oh.
need someone to point out everything I've done wrong in the record time, I hand it to Jonathan, and he's quick to point out everything I've done.
Well, so in addition to just finding all the things you'd done wrong, what I sort of like was doing though is I sat and read it in one sitting, and I really liked that. It's a lengthy, meaty book in many ways, but it's a like in terms of it's substantial, but it is a nice short fun book. And so I got to read it in one sitting. I was really excited about that. It has all these great illustrations in it, and I like I just like the I think it's the one you best hit the stride of that illustrated, like how they used to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, so I've been playing around with the notion of embellished novels, like Red Earth is definitely one of those, and Automatic Age, and Backbone of Night. I got a little bit better at it, and I laid out a book which I've placed with Epee Press, which is The Witch Police, which is also an embellished novel. And so I'd been getting the feel for how it works in my own creative flow. And so then I just brought all that to bear on Sky Devil. And I think, honestly, yeah, it's...
And Rick
Worked really well.
Overwater, I didn't know who he was really. Like you'd mentioned him, I'd heard of you talking about him, but I never got from you talking about Rick that he was an actual guy who wrote books. Like I got somehow the impression this was his first book, but it's not. And he's actually quite a good writer. There's some really one of the things in that book that's really interested me and like flagged for me as interesting was there's a chapter where after sort of one of the big battles that has happened, Sky Devil is just sort of, sitting around and he goes to lunch and he's like hanging out with his guys and they end up, giving him some, hooch to drink basically and so on. And we had this little scene where, he kind of accidentally sets himself on fire. And it establishes in the plot that he's resistant to fire in a particular manner, which matters in the plot later. But it also just has a nice pacing. Like it is a good example of exactly the kind of chapter that another writer wouldn't include.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
There's a great...
like a lesser writer wouldn't include that chapter.
Let me tell you the story of that chapter. I made a list. So we co-plotted the book loosely, in so much as I created a laundry list of all the key features of Sky Devil as a character, the key elements of the World War Weird that I thought were relevant to the plot of the book that he'd have to know, and a list of like action events that I wanted to happen. And then I told Rick, like, you can have them happen in any order you want. Yeah, because he was coming to play in my universe really with a character I had created. But these are sort of deal breakers. These must happen. And some of them he didn't like. And so very, I think, wonderfully subverted it. So one of them was, I said, Sky Devil breathes fire. And so since I said it can happen in any order and any way you like, he was like, okay, check mark, Sky Devil breathes fire. And it's
So there's just a scene where he breathes fire the one time.
the one time by accident, right?
Right.
And it became such a great element, a real tribute to how Rick is writing the story in a character-driven way, even though it's pushing
Right.
us from action to action to action.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's more character development and drive than there needs to be, frankly.
In a book where like a giant
book
orange
like this.
man is flying a...
So it just really kind of grabbed my attention. I thought, maybe I could publish this book. It's short. It's probably we could do it, within a budget, if I just move some things around. And so my participation in it kind of came, it was a little unplanned, but then, I just sort of, when I decided to get behind it and it was agreeable to you guys, it
If I
kind of
can-
came together pretty fast then.
If I can be so bold to direct quote you from our text thread, I had sent you it to kick down the stairs, as it were, and then you texted back, Oh, fuck, this book is great.
Yeah, I actually liked it quite a lot. So, anyway, at the end of the day, I'm really pleased with how it turned out because we got it's full color interiors, which you don't always see. And for one, you don't always see illustrations inside these books. Two, it's full color illustration interiors, and it's got a great. And you also added like an image texture to the paper, so it looks and we also picked a paper where it feels a little bit like one of those old, slightly degraded novels. Like it's got a great texture.
I need to give credit
the
where
image.
it's due here. Some people have asked, actually, casually, is your podcast low-key sponsored by Friesen's Publishing? And I- that
It might
someone
well
at
be.
Punk Rock Flea Market asked me that recently, and I said no. They do not sponsor the
I
podcast.
should ask them
but-
to though.
Right, but they do such a great job. We're constantly talking about how they stick the landing. So this is a
Well,
pun
we weren't going
intended.
to do it with them originally.
Yeah.
Like you were going to do them with a different printer because you were going to do a shorter run.
We're just gonna do.
But then when I came in, it was like, well, maybe we could do a longer run, and maybe that means we can do full color instead of black and white. Like maybe we got some other options in here because Friesen's has this new printer and they've got some new capacity.
Yeah, in the tradition of zines and samostats and things like that, we were just going to do a short run of our super weird project. And then as we got closer and closer to being finished, both Rick and I got excited about, frankly, how well it was working. And we'd kind of surprised each other.
And at the same, one thing that kind of worked nicely, and this sort of dovetails into maybe a slightly different topic, but as you guys were kind of putting that project together over there, I was sort of trying to get my Stranger Fiction slate of what I want to do this 2025 together, which didn't include Sky Devil originally, but then, we figured out how it could include it and it could kind of work well for both of us. And so it is, unofficially out. I mean, it will officially be out later, but we do have them here. If you're you might have seen it already and picked one up at the cons if you are
Specifically at the Punk Rock Flea Market.
yeah, or like by the time you hear this, maybe you've grabbed one at the Calgary Comic Con Expo or something from us. But officially it'll be kind of launching a little bit later to the wider realm,
To the broader world.
as the other sort of books in the my Stranger Fiction 2025 lineup come out, and people can, listening to this, whatever world you're in, can go to kickstrange.com and either sign up. What can they actually do at that now?
You can sign up for the pre-launch page. So basically what that means is we're going to be launching the 2025 Stranger Fiction lineup of books on Kickstarter later this year. And we currently have a pre-launch page that's already up and running. And what you do is you sign up with your Kickstarter account on the pre-launch page. And when that pre-launch goes live, when we actually start kickstarting for the books, you'll be notified in your email and you'll have early access, or not early access, but you'll be the soonest to know when that campaign is live.
And additionally, the URL I'm saying, kickstrange.com, and that's what it does right now. It takes you to the place where you can sign up to be notified. But what it will do later is take you to what, Lyndon?
It's going to take you to a tier of the Kickstarter campaign that is not public facing, that will have, we like to call it a special reward tier. And
Secret
so,
stuff.
right, some secret rewards that won't be available to people who are finding the campaign without that very special link.
Actually, I'm learning about this right now.
Yes, and
For
we
the
don't need
first
to go into the great details here, but the point is,
Hold on. I want to touch base on this notion. I love this notion that a bit of promotional nonsense, like, hey, sign up for this thing, and that the QR code is like a magic sigil already.
Right.
And that sigil will take you somewhere different depending on the calendar month.
Right,
Yeah.
depending on whether or not the campaign is live. So if you go to it right now,
Kinda neat.
because it's going to be limited, right? So, but anyways, the point is, kickstrange.com.
kickstrange.com.
All right. Listen.
You will learn more.
Okay. The
kickstrange.com.
the overt commercial of this middle section. I've
But
been
Sky Devil is
co-op-
one of the books you'll be able to get through that Kickstarter if you don't already have it. If you do already have it, have other options.
Kickstrange.com.
Oh my god, I hate you both right now. All right, so let's talk.
People are already buying Sky Devil. They like it. It's a hit so far in my world.
It's
I love
It's not
the
even out.
I love the anti-smoking ad that's in it. I was just flipping through it.
It's so good.
so
It's got so many great touches in it. You got this great ads, those great that cool creature in the sky with the
So
dots. What
how-
are those dots called again?
which ones are we talking about?
Halftones.
The halftones, yes, the Bende dots are halftones. The notion behind Sky Devil started as a I was looking at, as I often do, because I built an entire artistic world around the World War Weird in the Midnight City, which is built around really the propaganda and literature of the 30s and 40s. But one day while I was poking around, someone said one thing you should really look at is the old cigarette ads that are post-war, right after the war. A whole bunch of the propagandists end up going right onto Madison Avenue and started working there. And so when I started poking around in that, just following that thread, it got me thinking about the notion of, okay, imagine a world where weird supernatural things are real. And who would be your spokespeople, because they would often get, handsome movie stars to, co-opt the cigarette branding. So instead, I was like, oh, and I loved the idea that in World War I,
If Joe Camel was real.
well, yeah, if Joe Camel was real, but I love the idea that actually, I hate the idea, but I find it fascinating, that in World War I, the aristocracy were the pilots. And so
Yeah,
there were trading cards of all of these, European
Red Baron.
air aces, the Red Baron, all these other things. And so those things all sort of rolled together. And I just pulled two words that were common in the comics that reference that era. The word sky, there's sky everything, sky wolf, sky ace, sky Venus, sky, you put a sky in front of something and there is. And there's a whole lot of devil things from that era too. And so I just took those two words, mixed them together and said, what would that guy look like? I drew him with a big, long tail. I imagined him breathing fire. I gave him a double-barreled Tommy gun, and I made him the spokesperson of Sky Devil cigarettes.
So Rick is the one who made him not a devil, not a demon?
Well, no, not at
Or
all.
is that your discussions evolved in that direction?
So this was another surprise because I've got him with this long devil tail in the illustration, and then I'm reading along, and one of the opening scenes of the book is him looking at this ad that I've drawn, right, from the original, like basically the source code image. The character is metatextually looking at it and saying to himself, oh my gosh, they drew me with that tail again. They've got to stop that. I don't have a tail.
Actually, it's funny because you have a tail at the back that's coming out, and Blake picked this book off the desk the other day and was like, is this guy's got a devil tail? I'm like, no, not really. I go, he's just drawn that way sometimes. He was so confused.
So I love this this subversion of the art inspiring the words, and then the words now, I've done a number of other Sky Devil related illustrations as a result of working on this book, and he's sort of evolved as a character that exists in the way he's presented by a fictional ad agency inside the fictional world, and also his reality is fictional inside the fictional world that contains this. So that
And you've got those candy cigarettes too.
Well,
do you have any of those left, or they're gone?
I've got plenty around. Yeah, we have so many. I've been packing them up. So what we did, dear listener, is...
They may be gone by the time you hear this.
Yes, they might be gone by the time you hear this. But Lyndon helped me track down a wholesaler for Popeye candy sticks, formerly of my use Popeye candy cigarettes. And we bought a few cases of them and have re-stickered them to be pitchforks, the Sky Devil branded cigarettes from the book. So if you see us in Calgary and you pick up a copy of the book while supplies last, you'll also be given a pack of smokes, which may or may not give you superpowers. We carefully wrapped the packaging so that you can still read the ingredients and the manufacturing, so that while we are hiding the fact that they're Popeye cigarettes, we are not hiding the fact that where they are manufactured or what's in them. As someone who's conscious of allergies, I felt this was important. So
Unlike
careful.
what Joe Camel used to do.
That's right.
Hide the fact of what's in it.
Yeah, hide the fact what's in it. Now, I recently picked up a set of old radio dramas, which I've been delightfully listening to, but I cannot believe
they're so good, eh?
How many cigarette ads are promising how much healthier you will be if you're smoking their cigarettes?
Yeah. These guys are laced with cocaine. They're great.
Hey, they're toasted.
That's right.
They're toasted.
I forgot they used to say that.
Yeah, there's so much of that stuff. So anyway, it's from an era where the book is sort of set in this kind of weird place where if supernatural evil was real, you'd have to kind of play it straight, but it wouldn't be enough to play. So the fact that he's a mutated man who is bulletproof is still not enough to sell the cigarettes. They have to draw him with a tail, right?
Yeah. Well, of course, you got to make money on it no matter what's going on. You got to make money on it.
Yeah.
Supernatural, evil. Sure. Let's slap a sticker on that, you know?
So we have been brainstorming feverishly what the follow-up to Skydevil and Haunted Air will be. We've announced one of the titles of the next book. It's already printed in the back of Skydevil and the Haunted Air. But the notion here is it was lots of fun. It was the kind of meaningful struggle you want as an artist to try and get something made for the right reasons with the right people for the right audience. So it has that kind of nice little bit.
And then on the topic of meaningful struggle, the next sort of big thing that I'm doing, which is tied into this Kickstarter, is the Draxus book, which I've been promising for years, which is the next shared world book. So yes, you know, people who've been asking me, there is a shared world book coming out this October, like there has been the last 2 Octobers. So, you know, you'll get it first at the Winnipeg Comic-Con, and that's my book in the shared world, Draxus. So if you've seen the shared world book, you'll have read 2 of the stories. Maybe it'll be, you know, continuing that.
I think arguably the most evil of all the shared world stories.
That's the goal. That's my explicit goal.
When you were giving me cover notes, you said, just make sure it's more evil than the rest.
Yeah. I like the cover a lot. So you can see the cover at that kickstrange.com that Gregory's drafted up there. It's got some cool evilness to it.
No, we may not be big, but we're small. Is kind of why you made this joke about breaking with traditional publishing expectations.
Right. And timelines.
I have 2 books coming out from traditional publishers. One is Blood Letters with Ariel Gordon, and one is Witch Police Cases. The Black Moon Arrangement will be the title story of that collection. That's with At Bay Press, and they're both traditionally published through proper quote-unquote channels.
Forgot about the second one that you said, the Black Moon Arrangement.
Black Moon Arrangement.
When is that scheduled?
So
2029?
No, actually
2035.
Listen, Matt at Matt Bay Press.
You
Don't
get 2
listen
with
to
him?
him. Well, okay. Technically speaking, we're doing 2 Witch Police stories, and we're gonna. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you this. I'm gonna just tell you this. This is my book. Damn it. The plan right now is to publish the 2 Witch Police cases as a flip book in the same publication.
So that's what I thought. So
it'll be
it's
like
one book.
So 2 novellas in one book
Yeah.
with 2 different covers.
But Gregory gets to put them side by side at his booth, so they look like 2 different
They'll look
books
like
to
2
the
books,
to the common
Right.
passerby.
But that's what I thought it was. So, okay, I thought you changed it or
That's
something.
the plan. So Blood Letters is coming out. That's our sort of war story collection of letters in a very post-apocalypse is the wrong word. It's like, what would you call it? Like an apocalypse that I think I need some genre help, Professor.
What do you mean,
Professor?
Why is post-apocalypse?
Well,
the
here's
word?
what I'm gonna ask you. So you're a doctor of literature. So I need you to help me write the prescription for Blood Letters, which is not suggesting that the world is ending because of this weird war of odd technology. It's not suggesting that the world is worse off as a result. It's just not a place that when you're reading it, you'd probably in the modern era would want to live in. But it's not front and center in the characters' minds that the world is worse off. They're just trying to stick it out together in this.
Is this not
ongoing-
in the automatic age timeline? Where is it in that timeline?
It's arguably
Maybe I'm confused about
adjacent
the timeline.
in the automatic age stories. We have put in a few Easter eggs where someone who reads it would say, hey, wait, I read those other books. Is this related to that? But we never came out and said it because it's not relevant to the enjoyment of the story.
So your society has not collapsed?
Correct.
because of-
It's like
oh,
always collapsing. What would you call a society that's
is it
always collapsing?
in a structured
current
manner?
world?
I was going to say, no jokes.
Is it
about
in a
America.
structured manner, like bad, or is it an unstructured chaos of
Great
war?
question. So,
Do you know what I mean? Like, is it dystopia?
okay, like without being flippant, I'm going to try to answer your question like I would to the professor so that I can get the right. So the idea here is that the characters, previous generations, all talk about their own war as if something seems to happen cyclically all the time. There's a suggestion that this kind of war is ongoing. It's just part of how society runs. And there is never any mention of the sides, who the good guys or the bad guys might be. No one even cares. They're just, in our characters' point of view, looking out for each other, the ones that know each other.
Sure. So it sounds like a dystopia of novel to me.
Is it? Is that all it is? This is the
It
problem.
sounds like some sort of take on that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, can't think of a comparable take on that.
Right.
But it sounds like it would fit in dystopia because you've got basically a bad world, right? But it's a structured one.
At what
It
point
benefits somebody to have it in this manner.
At what point does the word dystopia lose its relevance in the modern era?
Look at what 2025 was imagined to be in the 80s.
This is what I'm getting at. Yeah, like,
Right.
are we there now? Like, what's happening?
And there's at one point where depictions of the future were once shining metropolises, and at some point that shifted, and depictions of the future are now desolate hellscapes.
That's an American thing primarily, though. It's worth pointing out that has really a lot to do with American literature and the way that American imagination has worked in the last half a century for varied reasons. So I don't want to
There are a few bright
tie too
spots.
closely to America. I'm just saying
Pun
it
intended.
sounds like it fits into the dystopian genre on a certain level.
Sure. One little genre that I'm hoping gets a bigger push from creative folks in the next few years is the solar punk movement. The idea, exactly what you're talking about, like
What's that?
a future where things are brighter.
Solar punk?
Yeah, it would be
So bright that we live on the sun.
Yeah, no, it's just the the notion that solar energy being readily available, solar punk is like that things didn't go bad, that people started relying on the free available energy of the sun and made a green and verdant world that is in resistance to the notion of industrialization and over-industrialization. I love
Shouldn't
this
that be
notion.
called solar fantasy?
I've never heard of solar
No,
punk.
because it's
It's like steampunk, but
the
solar.
notion behind punk being
Because
that
it's so unlikely that you need to fantasize about it
That's
for
what
it
punk-
to actually.
dude,
No, how
that's what punk
unlikely
is.
it is.
No, punk's DIY.
But
Exactly right.
I just struggle to see where you'd have a story in there. But I guess I don't know. What's do you know other things what's the most famous solar
No, it's
punk
just,
book?
It's just art that I've been seeing in.
Oh, it's
No,
not a story
conflict
thing.
in these.
No,
Right. I guess it doesn't need to be.
I am by no means an expert on this. This is literally me just talking about something that is currently of interest.
I've
to
never
me,
heard of it. It sounds
and
interesting,
I'm
yeah.
starting to scratch the surface of where it will take me. I'm looking forward to it.
What comes out when you plug it into the AI?
Yeah.
I don't.
If you ask the AI
What-
what
yeah.
solar punk is,
What
how likely is solar punk? Siri.
what makes
Every news article. We asked AI what it thinks about this topic. Go ahead.
Siri's
Gary.
she's coming. She's coming for us.
Yeah.
It was my fault.
Siri? Thank you for your attention, but you can turn off now.
Now I got to turn off mine because you keep saying the word. Go ahead.
Every time I say sorry, it thinks I'm talking to her.
It's gone.
No, it's not gone. Star Trek and how Star Trek envisions a world where everything's better after it was worse is a rare exception in the science fiction landscape. Is that it's not about an ongoing horrible tragedy or a dystopia. It's actually a meritocratic utopia where people have nothing better to do on Earth except go get into trouble in the universe because everything's fine.
Yeah, dare to dream.
Yeah,
Dare to dream.
everything's fine. They can make their own
All
food with
worked
the touch of a button, just
'cause
convert
the
it out of
chips.
matter. They're all, they can all eat meat because it comes out of the matter stream and not out of animals, right? They don't, although we were talking, actually, I wish Dan was here for this. We were talking about the self-selection that must occur in Starfleet among Starfleet cadets because you have to be completely okay with the notion that you die the instant you use the transporter. And the people who are in Starfleet would be from in the trillions of humans that would be alive in that world, they would only be a very small number that are in Starfleet. And what they all have in common is they don't mind being completely erased from the universe the first time they step into the transporter, to be reassembled with local atoms, right? You're basically disintegrated and then reintegrated every time.
The meat thing makes me think of the other book, which we can't talk about yet, that we've got coming out. We've got a graphic novel also coming out this year, which people will learn more about.
Haven't we mentioned it?
We can't mention
Definitely have multiple times.
We haven't talked about it in detail, though.
Assuming it's...
Dear listener, Jonathan has not caught up on our podcast, and I am just now realizing
You shouldn't be talking about it. If you
accidentally dropped a few things.
Not that it's, world-shattering news right this second.
Yeah. Oops.
No. What's the okay, so
Let's just move on from that.
I don't understand what the problem is. Unless you have a graphic novel project that I don't know
Oh, probably.
that about.
We have so many.
Am I involved in this top secret project?
I have 2. Actually, now that I think of it, I have 3. Yeah, that I'm even confused.
Clearly, I don't know what
Dear
project
listener,
you're
I'm
talking
so sorry. I'm so sorry for this. Let's stop vaguely
about.
referencing
Dan, just please cut this whole thing.
any nonsense. No, you can leave it in, Dan, because my apology is heartfelt. Here's what I want to promise you, dear listener. We care about making stories, and we're trying really hard to get them into the world, and we're only able to do that because you've shown up to help support them. And so for that reason, we're working hard. But because of the horrible constraints of a hype-reliant world, we have to keep some things secret.
Well, it has more to do with a different publisher.
No, we moved on.
Distributor. Use your broke dance noise. We may or may not have a book out of heavy metal.
Yeah, that is not that's not vague at
It's
all.
not a secret. You can go buy it right now. In theory, whether it exists or not, I'm not sure. So we may or may not have a book out of heavy metal again. Like we're sort of just seeing what goes on with their new relaunch. If you haven't already checked out the heavy metal relaunch, it's worth checking out. They're over on Kickstarter. They're starting to ship. I just saw they're starting to ship issue. They're relaunching the magazine from issue 1, and I guess the second series, whatever you want to call it. That's orderable, so it'll be in the world right soon. I'm really curious to see how that turns out. I'm excited to check it out. But we have a bit of a pause on our news with that because we're sort of trying to figure out what's the best way to work with them.
As long as we're soft selling other people's Kickstarters. A Star Called the Sun by Simon Roy just launched on Kickstarter. I think it funded in 3 hours. Simon Roy is one of my absolute favorite indie comics creators. Ever since Jan's Atomic Heart won my fleshy heart, absolutely adore his stuff. Habitat from Dark Horse. I think Image Now maybe publishes Habitat. Anyway, he's done a bunch of great stuff. He did part of the Prophet relaunch, but his self-driven, self-initiated personal comics, sci-fi extravagance, they're so good.
And dear listener, if you happen to own a heavy metal branded copy of the Eye Collector.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Hang on to that because I cannot find them on the heavy metal website as we speak.
No, but you could find them elsewhere. But you can't get print copies except from us,
right?
At this point,
yeah. At one point there were printed copies, is what I'm saying. So if you have one, hang on to it.
More limited, although we've got some to sell.
You can get them on strangerfiction.com.
.ca.
No,
.ca.
Or soft selling.
That's not a soft
sales or nothing.
We got almost over 500 pages of graphic novel coming out.
Oh, we're talking about
in the next while. Eye Collector and the other one, and
we've definitely talked about the other one numerous times on the show.
Well, let's just not get into it before we're supposed to, because the distributor. It's not mad. It's a distributor, but. The other thing we got coming out at some point here is a movie. That's been looking really good lately, I got to say.
Nice. I was working on the poster. We're going to do a number of posters, but I was working on a poster for our film festival submissions for Princess and the Dragon yesterday. And It started as oh my God, I'm going to have to do something with this. And I would like to make a strong endorsement to limitations as being the beautiful benefit to all deadlines. So, for example, Miles Crossman, the director, said, "Hey, I'm just roughing up a quick poster to go into this film festival submission so that we have something. These are the elements that I used. These are the elements I want to use, and here it is." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's good. It'll do its job. Can I have a go at it?" I didn't. That was not on my list of things to do that day. But as independent film always eats your life, here we are. And because I had a short amount of time, and in my mind, I thought of 5 or 6 images I would select to use but those hadn't been outported. They were not available. They were just the ones that had already been selected. So then, working within a really tight constraint, the notion was to build a cover that looked like a movie you would have found at an old VHS store in amongst the independent horror. Very specifically, not to look like a 90s direct-to-video horror movie, which is the original image looked a little bit too much like to me, and to make it look like an 80s direct-to-video horror.
Yeah.
Which are very different aesthetics if you grew up in that time.
Well, this was the big thing when we were working on it, is like we kept talking about, like, I want more 80s and less 90s.
Yeah. But but yes. And
but I'm really liking that last cut we saw that. I really thought it was starting to look like something, like it looks like a movie. It feels like a movie. It looks really good. It sounds good. For the
co-produced
most part,
Jonathan.
they're not done the sound, but what it was, I was really impressed by that cut. And I'm looking forward to it. People keep asking me, when's it coming out? If you're wondering that, I can't tell you the answer to that question. You'll know when I know.
The basic plan for most movies is you have to first do a little bit of a festival run and try to show it to distributors. And then based on what distributors say, it helps you figure out where and what's going to happen. It can be purchased straight out of festivals. That's rare these days, but it can happen. And so we're going to give it a shot. There'll be plenty of places where we'll talk about how you can come and see it locally and support it. Winnipeggers.
Yeah. And outside of Winnipeg, again, at some point we'll have a screening in Winnipeg, but I don't know when. And then at some other point, you'll be able to see it wherever you are in the world, I'm sure. But again, I can't tell you when. I can't tell you how at this point. But we will, keep you abreast of that information. But we appreciate all the people asking me about it.
Do you know what I'm allowed to tell you, Jonathan? Is there's a new cut, which I have as part of our follow-up to this.
Oh, nice.
You just breezed in,
you do
and we were doing our recording, and on my list of things to show you and tell you about was that there's a more current cut that has all the proper credits.
Did you do the ADR? Because he had been sending me
half
clips.
The ADR is done. The other half with the other actress still to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
He had been sending me clips of the narrating parts.
Yeah.
Which were sounding really good.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I mean, it's an impossible thing.
Yeah, it takes forever. That's the thing people don't understand. And I don't blame people for not understanding. I'm just saying it's hard to understand how film works. I always think about The Simpsons. That joke in The Simpsons where they're making a movie in Springfield, and there's a guy painting a horse, and to look like a cow. And this Bart comes up and he's like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, cows don't look like cows on film. You got to use horses." To me, that's the perfect summation of what film is like. And none of it makes any sense to the layperson. You just can't comprehend it. There's no point asking a normal question about it.
Yeah, great example of this on our own set is that if you wanted to have a giant pool of, obviously it's fake blood, but a giant pool of blood, your first thought would be, mix up some fake blood, pour it out into a pool, and it'll look great on camera. False.
Too liquidy?
The best way to have
messy.
a great big pool of fake blood is to have a latex or I don't even know, some kind of resin.
It's
but it's
some sort of
solid.
resin, yeah.
It's a solid that looks like a puddle that you lay in place.
I was standing, Lyndon. I was like standing here. It was on the floor, like right beside me.
Yeah.
And it's slightly dark, but
Try not
still.
to avoid. You're trying to
I'm
avoid
like,
it.
I'm like, oh, you know, who's going to clean? You need help cleaning up this blood? It's like, oh, I'll just nice. He goes, I don't need help. He just picks it up.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell from like 2 feet, 3 feet away whether that it wasn't a pool of blood.
It's like a Looney Tunes moment with the hole, and they just pick up the hole and put it wherever they want.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I thought of.
Yeah.
And what was weird about it, but I guess like one of the things is if you got real liquid blood, which of course they use sometimes, but like you could smear it, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's not going to look the same in the next shot. There's all sorts of problems.
Sucks if you smear it. Yeah. So that kind of stuff. So it's hard to do a bunch of creative stuff all at once, and it's eats at your sleep, and it eats at your soul, and it eats at your bones and your flesh and your meat. But in the end,
It's fun.
yeah, our ghosts will haunt the things we made, and I think that's important.
But anyway, that's why I've sort of feel like I've been like not around and like not visible to the world. You know, I basically fell off social media entirely. I have not been setting up my newsletter. I haven't been doing this podcast. You know, I've
You just
barely
sent a
been.
newsletter, though. I got one.
I just sent it.
Yeah.
That's the first one I've sent for months. You know, and you know, I'm going to be back in the habit of these things. So I've started to free time up for such things. But all the time has been eaten by projects that kind of keep coming at you in erratic ways, which is, you know, whenever that happens, it's great. The joke I was making in my newsletter was whenever there's news, I don't have time to tell you. You
Oh
know,
my gosh, it's so
it's
true.
kind of the irony of the news. So, you know, I'm trying to get a little bit better and more systematic about things. But, you know, the good side of it all is there's been lots going on and there's lots of cool stuff coming out. I'm really excited about a lot of the stuff coming out. A lot of it's, you know, I especially when I think of something like the Eye Collector or some of the comics work, you know, like I think some of my best work and some of your best work, certainly in the Eye Collector.
Let's be useful to the dear listener. Let's try to be useful, gentlemen. Let's imagine you've got a work that you care about, you've worked hard on, you are trying your best, and you're not quite sure how to let people know about it in a way that doesn't seem, you know, like we've been joking about this entire episode, it's too much of a hard sell. What are the approaches that I know the two of you take different approaches, so why don't we talk about that for the dear listeners' sake? Tell them.
What's the question? How do you promote
Yeah.
things?
How do you promote
Strange.com.
without seeming like a total jackass? Is it just okay to seem like a jackass?
Don't think. Why do people think about that? How you're perceived about? You just say what you're doing, and then people can care or not care.
But it's no longer enough to just say what you're doing because you have to
It
say
is
it
enough.
1,000
It is enough, though. That's the thing people don't get. It is enough to just say what you're doing. Everyone thinks they got a hard sell. So like, I got to tell you all the reasons you should buy this book. No, just say what the book's about.
The real challenge I've been having lately.
Counterpoint.
No. This is like an aside. The real challenge I've been having lately, and I mentioned it to you the other day, Gregory, is when you find a small community of people whose opinions you actually care about, there's less of a drive to spend time on social media sharing the things that you're working on.
Absolutely true.
That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Because you think that people know, and that's the biggest mistake people make online or in promoting things is assuming that everybody hears everything they say.
Mm-hmm.
I see this all the time with developers and other people that I do work with, where they sometimes will act like somebody saw the last thing they put out, and therefore they don't want to say it again. But nobody saw that. You know, even your most ardent fans, they'll see it and forget it. You know.
So, but if we talk about two different points of view here, one where it's like you want to feel supported by the community, let's call them, for the sake of argument, let's call those people the circle. We have a circle of people, you know, and you only need two people to plot a circle, frankly. But if you have a group of people who you would take advice from, then you should also be able to take criticism from those people. This is why I think of it as a circle. They're going to give you good feedback and encouragement, but they're also going to tell you when you've missed the mark. And that is a really important thing. That's separate. Those are separate people from just people who want to know that a thing exists.
But I agree with you, what you're saying, but to bring it back to kind of what he's talking about, it is an interesting spot you sometimes get stuck in where you kind of have a group of people that you kind of care what they think. They are sort of giving you like some, good job on that, whatever validation you need. You're getting the validation you need, and it's not false necessarily, but it's kind of maybe satisfying your desire for that. So it's easy to just forget about talking to the other people in the world.
Yeah, this is what I'm getting at, is that if you just share it with your
inner
group in your
circle.
circle, then
It's easy to think you've shared it.
that's right.
You know, when you have
You get the same dopamine hit.
But I will
Really?
say, no, it's different. It makes it, at least for me, easier if I have shared with a circle, however large or small that circle is, something honest and gotten honest critical feedback. Again, taking criticism from people you would accept advice from is key. Then it makes it much easier to look at the other part of promotion as a job. Like, oh, this is just some stuff I got to do,
Yeah.
and people have to know about it, and the best way to do it is to do it often.
And you should
regularly.
systematize it. So you just have a list of things you do, and then you do them, and then you're done the list, as opposed to getting wrapped up in it in some way.
And I think there's a danger. And now, obviously, I'm speaking like an old man, right? But I do think there's a danger because of the structure of social media that people see one as a circle when it isn't. And then they get negative feedback online, or they don't get the right kind of feedback online. And then they think, oh, I'm a failure, or I haven't really connected with anyone. My work is terrible.
Right.
If you are conflating your inner circle with your outer circle, you're going to have some troubles emotionally, I think. And so, like I said, it could just be one person that you like to share stuff with personally, privately, through text or telephone, or you could actually go to their house. These are amazing. These are amazing events. I have people over at my house regularly, and that is my favorite way to do social media.
It's a nice house.
I
Is
sound like
to
you
show
leave my
people
house.
is to show people some media in person. Yeah,
But
Socially.
But I think you're right on track with that idea that there's a sort of, it's a danger, but it's also just even when it's not dangerous, there's a falseness in the idea that you should fundamentally care what people outside of certain circles are saying.
Right.
But at the same time, you want to bring some of those people into your circles.
Yeah, can I cut finely the word care down to, because what you're saying is like you shouldn't care what people think. I think you shouldn't
you
allow what
shouldn't.
the outer
Yeah.
circle says to you to cause damage to you.
Well,
The inner circle, they're already on the inside.
or to inflate you too much even.
That's right. That's why I come back to the circle analogy. Their role is not to just be pumping you up. They also have to be telling you the truth. And so if you just have people who are
I
your
can confirm
cheerleaders
that, dear listener. I'm torn down all the time in this group.
from
chat.
your lofty
Well,
heights.
We don't mean, I don't mean to say you shouldn't care, but you have to have a certain distance.
There's actually an expectation that I would fall that was stated the other day.
Well,
They said, when you
Well,
fall,
it'd be
we'll
better-
help
a
you
better
out.
Story.
we'll be there to catch you when you fall.
It'd be better if you fell.
Your
narratively
inevitable
speaking.
fall, yeah.
Yeah, if you're hoping to rise, dude, you're gonna have
You're on your own.
Yeah, no, what I'm
gotta
saying
have
is, if you rise, you will also fall. So perhaps
That's
just
true.
stay.
What comes
on the
up
ground.
must go down.
Stay on the ground here with us. Yeah.
But in any case, I think you're right. You've hit the nail on the head to me, though, is like whatever you're doing to promote things, I think you just need to be straightforward about it, and you need to be dispassionate about it. Not that say that you shouldn't talk about the things you're passionate about, but just say you just like don't get so invested in it. Just do it, and then do your other things.
Right. Yeah. And if you're going to do them anyway, then you don't.
But don't forget about it. Like I'll forget about it. I'll think, oh, I'm done this, and I'll just move on with life. And that's the thing to get. That's the dangerous side of it, where it's like you spend all this time on these projects, and you don't even tell anyone you're doing them, or you'll forget. I go through my laptop sometimes, and I'll find like things I've done that I could have easily put out. I could do maybe now put it out, but it's like I just forgot I did it.
Okay, then. So for the last roundtable thought, does it matter if people know about a thing after the fact? Like, is there an actual benefit? Like, if you're doing stuff, like, for example, we did a Love You to Death. We were on set on the movie. Does it matter that we will then now start sharing all that behind the scenes stuff after the fact? Is that just content for its own sake when really the event ended? It already happened. How is that of use?
I don't know how it would be of use. Are you doing the event again?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Why does it always have to be in service of some promotion?
My opinion is that promotion depends entirely on what your purpose for doing that work of art is.
Yeah.
If your motivation and gratification is completely internal, you do not need to promote the work because it doesn't matter if anyone else sees it or not.
Right.
If you are
Or
trying
if
to
300 people showed up and there were 300 chairs and they all got to experience.
and you were satisfied with
Yeah.
the experience, yeah.
Yeah. Why do we have to then belabor the point that it was a success? That almost seems a little too.
But if you're trying to extract some sort of, monetary value, artistic career building value, if there is some benefit to promoting or to bringing additional people to that project after the fact, then there is a reason to promote it.
I think I would disagree, not that with what
Of
you're
course you would.
saying. I think what you're saying is correct, but I would disagree with the premise that you should think in terms of projects. I think what you want to be thinking about is the audience. Does the audience want to see it?
How do you know till it's made?
But what I mean is, like, if you're sharing the behind the scenes or whatever,
Oh, I see.
if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
care about it, show it to them. Fine. Who cares? Whether it's a good business or bad business, I think is beside the point on a certain level.
Oh,
Whether it's going to sell you tickets the next time is beside the point.
okay. So
I think what the audience wants is worth giving it to them. Maybe don't give them everything they want. Maybe give them things they don't want sometimes, but you think they need. But I think, like, the idea that it all has to benefit some bottom line or it's narcissism, I don't really understand. They want to see certain things. If they couldn't make it, they kind of want to know what happened. It's too bad. Hey, what happened? People will ask you that, right? Like, people go, like, oh, how'd that thing go? I couldn't make it. And they want to know.
yeah.
And to me, like, it's the same as that. It's like, well, here's the things. If you didn't make it, here's, hope you see next time. Here's what happened. Like, if your audience cares about the stuff, why not just let them see it?
Following Dr. Ball's advice, my dispassionate statement is that Sky Devil and the Haunted Air by Rick Overwater and Jimmy Chomichuk exists.
Kickstrange.com.
Strange.com.
And you can get one. But if you're not interested in that, I look forward to hearing about your project, which you can send to us. No, you're cut off.
I got to do my sign off. You got to do your sign off, and I got to do my sign off.
Wait, I didn't finish my sign off. You interrupted it.
No, you interrupted it by saying something to me. I was just sitting here. At kickstrange.com, you can see a secret thing because there's another book there. Who knows what that book is? Why don't you take a look? Keep writing the wrong way.